What if you actually can manifest even greater? Welcome to Tools to Manifest Your Dream Life with myself, Glenyce. Thank you so much for being here. I am so incredibly grateful for each and every one of you. If you're watching the video, yes, I do look a little bit dark because I wanted to showcase that beautiful swimming pool behind me with the pink flamingo floaty, which I haven't been on yet because I kind of think it's going to pop me off, but we might try it later. Yeah, so have you decided whatever has been amazing for you to manifest is like, that's it? That's as good as it gets? Yeah, I am going to share some ways to ensure that you always manifest greater. But first I want to share a story. It was just over a year ago, June 28th of 2023, and I was floating in a swimming pool much like the one behind me. My swimming pool that I'd had for almost 6 years. You guys, if you've been around for a while, you know that I loved that swimming pool. I loved that house. I loved that acreage. I loved everything about it. And yet it was time. I knew it was time. I knew we were to go on to the next chapter of our life, which is what we're doing now, pet and house sitting around the world. I knew it, but I'll be honest, that last day there started off to be one of the hardest days of my life so far. Now let me explain. So I got there at 4 a.m. We had to hand over the keys at noon, and there was still a bunch of stuff to do. So hubby asked me, did he want me to join? We were staying at an Airbnb close by. He asked me, did I want him to come? If you've ever met hubby, if you've ever had to try to have a conversation with him before about 10 a.m., you know you probably don't want him around at 4 a.m. unless he hasn't went to bed yet. So I just said, no, you know what? I've got it. Now, I have to say, I'm so grateful that he can see when I'm operating from insanity. So he showed up about 5 a.m. and thank goodness he did, because I would not have got everything done. I would not have got everything done so I had time to float in my pool before we handed over the keys. So he came, we got a whole bunch of stuff done. By 10 o'clock, I was completely done everything and ready to float. I knew I had 2 hours. And I was floating from this sadness. I was floating from this despair. And it was a beautiful day, much like today. It was incredible. Just floating, the sun was shining. It was all the ways that I loved floating in my pool, except that it was coming to an end. There was literally minutes left. And I was floating and I was like, how am I going to drive out here? I don't know that I can. What if they actually have to come and physically remove me? I was being dramatic as I can be. And I started asking, what is this? Because I was excited to go on to our next chapter. I was so excited to start traveling around and hanging out with pets and other countries and homes and all the places. I was so excited. But here I am thinking, I don't think I can leave. And yes, of course, the beautiful home, the beautiful pool, but it seemed like something else. I'm so grateful I asked, because the awareness that I got was that I was operating from the idea that it was as good as it was going to get. That house, that pool, I would never be able to manifest greater than that. What? Honestly, I was so shocked, you guys, because it had not crossed my mind. I didn't think this was it. We weren't leaving because we had to. It wasn't like we were losing the house. There was no trauma associated with it. We just had a new chapter to go to. And yet I was desperate to stay because this was it. This is as good as it was going to be. Whoa. So as soon as I received that, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I know the insanity with that. That is crazy. I know that I will actually outcreate this a million times over in a million different ways. And so that's where this is coming from, because yesterday as I was floating in this pool, I was remembering that I'd kind of forgot, or not something I thought a lot of, that I'd had that belief and that I had changed it, which meant the last 2 hours in that swimming pool were so joyous. There was so much receiving, and it was probably honestly an hour and 45 minutes because I still had to get out. I didn't want them catching me in my swimsuit, which another part of the story, which is quite funny, is that before I got into the pool, I'd received an email from my lawyer saying the money had changed hands. It was officially their home. Yeah, I didn't have my swim yet. So I was like, I texted the realtor and I was like, hey, just don't give them the keys until noon. I know, I'm horrible, but I need it. And boy, did I need that 2 hours. So I got into the pool. I had this amazing awareness, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes in, and I just floated, and I had so much gratitude. I was so much gratitude for the house and the pool and everything that had occurred at that home, everything that I had shown myself that was possible and outcreated myself and knew that I could move forward with that. And so what I wanted to talk about today was maybe how to do that, maybe some steps to do that. So the first thing, maybe you have something that you created in the past that was incredible, and you maybe aren't manifesting that now or like that now. Maybe you used to make a certain amount of money and that's changed. Okay, so might be step one is to look at, okay, have you adopted, I should say, any points of views with that? Like once the money started changing, did you tell yourself, oh, that was then, that was because A, B, C, or D, and this is now, and this is the way it is, or maybe it's, all the money stuff that's going on the planet right now and all of that. Maybe there's a belief or a point of view in there to shift. That could be. So I want you to look at that. Now, my favorite way to figure that out is I can't make certain amount of money, whatever it is, I can't blank because. And then what I want you to do is write down 10 becauses. The first few will be things you've probably already thought of, but the next few, those are where the gold is, my friend. So I can't create whatever, maybe you used to create $5,000 a month. I can't create $5,000 a month because I don't have the same skills, or because nobody wants what I'm selling, or because, you just go and go and go. That will that'll show you where you're operating from. Now, once you know what it is, and there might be more than one. And I do apologize if this wind is making sound on my microphone. I need to get one of those little furry things. I think they're called cats, dead cats, actually. That sounds horrible, that you put on your microphone so when there's wind, and I do apologize because I know when I listen to stuff, I don't like that wind noise. So if you're hearing it, I'm sorry. But how could I not sit by the pool? Anyway, so looking at that and getting your becauses, and then do whatever you want to shift that. However you shift points of views. For me, that moment in the pool, as soon as I recognized and acknowledged that, I was like, that's gone. That's done. Forget it. That is not true. I knew within the core of my being that was not true. So I didn't need to do much clearing with it. You might have a different situation. You might need to. So how could you clear things? You can write them on a piece of paper and burn it. You can go for a swim and let it all flush away from you. You can ask your energetic team to assist you. There's so many ways. Find a way that works for you and use that. So that would be my very first step. Then the next step is looking at what is it that you would actually like? Because a lot of times, like that beautiful home with that beautiful pool, now that was then. That truly was then. I knew it was time to go on to the next chapter. And so if we are kind of stuck in that, it's very difficult to get clarity of what we would like. And I want to say that with a little bit of caution, because I don't mean clarity of what you would like. So specifically, I want, a house with 4 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms and blah, 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 blah. I want you to have the energy more so of what you would like. And so when I was, floating in the pool and looking at that, the energy of the home and the beautiful pool and that one place was a certain energy. But the energy of traveling around and going to new places and meeting new pets. At that time, we had been almost, 9 or 10 months without a pet in our home. That is very difficult for us. We had the month of June here with very few pets. We had some ducks and some sheep and a donkey, but kind of not those lovey pets that you get to really connect with. And snuggle with at night. I could have, but that'd be weird. Anyway, we'd been that long without pets in our home. We were desperate for that energy, for that yummy, lovey, energy. And So when I got that, it was like, yes, that's what I'm asking for. That's what I'm creating towards. That's what I would like more of. So that also really assists us in out-creating ourselves, because we're not stuck in the past. We're not stuck in what was or what should be or whatever crazy story we're telling ourselves. We're getting into the energy of what we would like. Now, with that, I do want to say this isn't kind of like you can have anything and anything. And if you make, say at $1,000 a month, you could be making $100,000 a month. I don't do that sort of talk, guys. If that's what you're here for, you probably want to go watch or listen to something else, because I really like logic and woo mixed together. So sometimes it might not be possible. Sometimes you might be wanting the $100,000 month, but really only maybe 1,000 is where you're at right now. So also being present with what is, because we can get really crazy into the fantasy of what we think it should be, or putting our energy, basically we distract ourselves rather than with what is. And what is with a side of as if by magic. What is with a side of possibilities, okay? So I'm not talking about going into, well, it's not possible. I am talking about not going into the fantasy so you distract yourself, but also it's okay to ask for more. It's okay to be choosing towards more. All right, so we've got clearing the points of views, getting rid of those limiting beliefs. Then we've got getting the energy. What are the energies you would like to be creating? We've also got making sure that we are not distracting ourselves with the fantasy, getting the what's possible, and with the side of magic, let's call it that. Now, the other thing with all of that is really making sure that you're taking the action that's required. Okay, so it would have been one thing for us to say, oh yes, we'd really like to do this pet and house sitting around the world, and then just sat and waited for somebody to contact us. It would have never worked, you guys. I shouldn't say never. It would have been very difficult because we don't know these people. So we have, we have a platform that we work on, and we have contacts, and we reach out to people. I mean, the sit that we did in Prince Albert last month, Rodney had done that sit when I was with my dad last September when he was sick. And he loved it so much that I actually reached out to them earlier this year and said, hey, if you guys are going to, need another sitter, keep us in mind. So we're willing to take the action. We're willing to do all the things. So it's looking at that, looking at what you would like, what is even greater. And in terms of what you're asking for, what actions, what is actually required, and be willing to be uncomfortable. Even reaching out to somebody like that and saying, hey, just keep us in mind. There's a bit of like, oh, what if they say no? What if we say whatever, all that insanity, instead of being like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to put it out there. This is what we would like. This is one of the ways that we could actualize it, manifest it, have it, create it. We're going to take that action. And if they say no, okay, they say no. Good. Next one. And that has been one of the most magical things with this whole process of all these pet and house sits, which I think we've done. I think this is our 32nd or maybe even 33rd one so far. That, if we don't get one or something doesn't work out, it's so cool because it's always like, oh man, this opened the door to this one being even better. So also, I guess that kind of leads to another topic, is that if you are asking for even greater and it doesn't show up, don't say it didn't show up in terms of it's not possible or you didn't do it. Maybe look at how did it show up? How did it show up? There were sits that we didn't even get an explanation. They just totally declined our application, like just a hard no. And then something even greater came along. And in fact, this sit, it actually wasn't even available yet. It wasn't even put out there yet. And we were in the midst of another sit, and I wasn't comfortable saying yes. Guess what? This sit. Yeah, I was very comfortable saying yes to this one. Let me tell you that. So there are some ideas and steps, whatever you want to call them, to really help you to manifest even greater, my sweet friends. And if you would like even more, I invite you to come and join us for the monthly manifesting membership. It is either $29 US or $39 Canadian each month. You get a facilitation call with me. You get a training call with me. You get an energetic exercise every Monday. I mean, you get so much, and I'm so grateful to be a part of your journey in everything that you are creating and actualizing and magicking into the world. Have a great week, sweet friends. I look forward to chatting again soon.